What's the point in doing all that, catching people, because you're going to do it. If you're going to do more testing, you're going to catch more people, if then we don't punish them.
Fans here in London, we've just concluded the weigh-in for Joyce versus Zhang, or Zhang versus Joyce, sorry, part 2. What did you make of that? We saw Joe coming in 30 pounds heavier than last time, about 2 stones, is it? And, and Zhang coming in 287. What did you make of Joe coming in that heavy?
Career high weights. I'm not surprised that he came in heavier than he did for the first contest. I expected around about 19, so coming at 20. Listen, we're going to find out tomorrow night how that plays out. He's obviously trying to make a dent in Zhang early doors, because last time out he was hitting him and it was like water off a duck's back. It didn't hurt him at all, did he? So he's obviously looking to plant his feet and let some shots go and hopefully push Zhang back, which he didn't do in the first fight. And I commend that, because he had to come in heavier. He was far too light last time round. I think I'm more surprised with Zhang, because he nailed it last time. Came in, did his thing. He had lovely fast downs. Okay, his feet aren't the fastest in the world, but his hands were fast, and Joe just couldn't get out of the way. Well, Joe doesn't get out of the way the most shots, to be fair. Let's be straight. He doesn't move his head. So I thought, Zhang, just rinse and repeat it, son. Maybe he's enjoyed the victory. I don't know. But what it is doing for me now, I'm thinking, 2 20-stone plus fellas, they're not going to be running around, are they? They're going to stand in the middle of the blooming ring and they're going to throw some leather. And it's going to be interesting to see, one, whether Joe makes a dint and whether he can drag Zhang past 6 rounds. Because at 40 years of age, with nearly 21 stone on your frame, you might gas a touch. People might say Joe might gas a touch, but he's never shown any realms of gassing in the past. He's a tremendous athlete, and I think Joe will want this fight to go past 6 rounds, so therefore he can maybe drown Zhang later on. The big thing is, though, mate, are we going to get there? Because that backhand last time couldn't miss, could it?
Like I said, I spoke to a lot of people once this fight got announced. Zhilei, same thing. He said, listen, it's quite simple, but he needs to move his head a lot more. I've seen him move his head, but that seems to be the sort of narrative from everyone that I spoke to. In regards to the loser of this fight, they're both aging, they're both getting on. Is this still a lot in this division for the loser to be fighting other fighters? Because we know the top boys at the moment are not really getting it on. Do you feel like there's still space for the loser?
Financially, yes, probably. Aspiration-wise of winning the top belts, the top trophies, no, because we've had 1 World Championship fight this year in the heavyweight division, which is absolutely diabolical. We all want to see the undisputed fight. Will we get it? Nobody knows, really. But we're being told positive things for the first quarter next year. Will that be a 1 fight? Will it be a 2 fight? I don't know. There's loads of questions at the top table. And then, with all due respect to both of these guys, AJ and Wilder are probably still ahead of them. So if you win this, what are you? Are you the number 5 in the world? You have to win the fight. If you lose the fight, the opportunity to become world champion, in my opinion, at the age that you're at, 38 and 40 years of age, is gone. Is there an opportunity to earn a few quid? Probably. Zhang's got a massive following, obviously, in China, so I'm sure he can make a few quid there. Joe Joyce is, a lot of people like Joe Joyce, and obviously he's got a good promoter on a good television network, so he can make a few quid with some domestic fights. But does he want to be a gatekeeper? Does he want to be that guy that to blood some young people coming through? I don't know, mate. I genuinely think there's huge ramifications on this fight tomorrow if you have those aspirations of becoming the top dog.
Do you want to talk about other heavyweights? Obviously, Tyson Fury is a big talking point at this present time. He's going to be fighting Francis Ngannou, somebody that you've talked to in his UFC career, in his MMA career. Different sort of circumstances right now in a boxing ring. The feedback has been negative. If you want to look at Tyson's career, normally, when he came back, a lot of people had a positive sort of energy towards Tyson. Once his fight got announced, there seemed to be a lot more negative feedback online. Was that just going to happen with what's going on in the heavyweights right now, where they not seem to fight each other?
Say again.
The heavyweights don't seem to be fighting each other. So can you understand why there's so much negativity towards Tyson?
Yeah, absolutely. Tyson's the kingmaker. He's the person that many people will say is the premier heavyweight on the planet. He's the number 1. Now, in one aspect of this, he's never whittled on about undisputed. He's never whittled on about Usyk. He's whittled on about dollar. But if you take a step back from it, I don't think any fight fan would begrudge Tyson Fury making as much money as he wants to make. Do what you want, man. Go in the WWE, go and do whatever you want to do. You've got to look at the WBC, who he is the belt holder for, and you've got to look at them thinking, why are they allowing this? Why are they allowing the premier heavyweight in the world, that most people will conclude, to fight a dude that's never boxed before? I love Francis. He's got one of the best fight stories. He's got one of the best stories in the whole of fight sports, right across the whole board. What he has managed to achieve, getting to the top of the table in the UFC, in that heavyweight division, absolutely sensational. But he ain't a boxer. He's never boxed in his life. I absolutely do not begrudge him coming into this circus and getting the opportunity to have a go at the Premier guy. But the WBC, if they had anything about them, would have gone, Tyson, sound mate, you want to go to the circus? Crack on, son. Give us that belt back. Give us the belt back, and our number 1 and number 2 are going to fight for this belt. When you want to come back, no worries, pal. We'll make you number 1 challenger. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. But they don't do that. Why do they not do that? Because they love the 3% sunshine. That's why they don't do it. They don't care about the sport of boxing. So, of course, Tyson Fury is going to manipulate the system, and he's going to go, hang on a minute, you're going to give me how much to fight a dude that's never boxed before? Deal me in, son. Yeah, crack on. No wonder fight fans get annoyed, right? I'm on a rant here. Fight fans get annoyed when people just talk wham. You take to your social media, I'm going to offer AJ this, I'm going to offer Usyk this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and nothing comes to fruition. The common denominator in all those conversations, and don't get me wrong, I know that there are factors that the other side have obviously played as well into why those particular fights have not come to the fore, but Fury's the kingmaker, he's the guy, he's the number 1. If he wants to make a fight happen, he can make a fight happen. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind about that. Does he have to compromise maybe on purse? Maybe. Does he have to compromise on where it is? Maybe. But if he wants the fights, he can make the fights. He's chosen not to make the fights. He's chosen to go to the circus and have a dance in one of the most, in the easiest fight of his professional career. No doubt about that.
Interesting. Do you want to move away and talk?
Do you not agree?
I agree with. I agree with whatever you're saying there. But let's move away. I do want to talk about yourself. Your name got mentioned in an interview Conor Benn did yesterday, where he said, "Listen, I'd rather be myself and not like Adam Catterall." And it's hypocritical that there's other fighters that I've tested but haven't got the same sort of attention that he has. Just a response back to that.
Listen, I'm not. Conor's entitled to his own thought process, and of course he is on the receiving end of a lot of criticism. Now, let me address the second part of that first and foremost. Other fighters don't get the critique for failing tests. Yeah, they do. Just listen to my stuff. Every single person that fails a test in fight sports, whether it be John Jones, who we made reference to in the UFC, to whoever in the world of boxing, I make reference to it. But the difference in this situation is, and this is why his situation is getting far more attention than anybody else's situation, is because of the process. People fail a test. You get suspended. You then go through a hearing process. You present your stuff. They say, no, mate, you're talking absolute wham bars. Here's your ban. The ban comes through, and then there is a conclusion. You don't have to agree with the situation. For example, Tyson Fury getting a 2-year backdated ban for his Nandrolone situation. Did I agree with everything that went on through that process? No, but there's a conclusion to it. Canelo Alvarez, we'll give you 6 months. Meanwhile, you can go and have your surgery for his situation with a Mexican meat. Did I agree with that situation? Absolutely no, I didn't. But there was a conclusion to it. They went through processes. Conor has, for all this talk of he's been through this process, anybody that's actually analysed what they've done in order to circumnavigate everything, there's no strict liability with the WBC. The WBC offered him the reasonable excuse. He presented an excuse that they said, no, that's absolutely nonsense, the flow in the testing process. Now all of a sudden we've got this eggs thing. He's denied the eggs thing. Then we're back on this conversation with the second test with UK anti-doping and whether they've got jurisdiction or whether they can do it. There has never been, and the reason why it's getting the attention is 2 failed drug tests and absolutely no knowledge of anybody as to how clomiphene has ended up in the system. Nobody's none the wiser a year on from that second failed test. That's why it's getting attention. It's not an agenda. It's nothing personal. I want Conor Benn to continue his career. I want him to make a shitload of cash. Crack on, lad. But what I also want, it's due process to play out properly, because what we're going to find now going forward is there's an appeal process going on with the British Boxing Board of Control and UK Anti-Doping into the independent panel saying, nah, lift his suspension. 9 times out of 10, appeal processes fall on deaf ears, mate. They're not going to get overturned, right? So I will guess that we're going to stay in the same situation. Conor Benn's going to be able to crack on, probably fight Chris Eubank Jr., and again, made a lot of cash. 6 months' time, fighter A fails test. Sanctioned for a fight in the British Boxing Board of Control, but it's a VADA test. They're going to say, whoa, we're pulling you up here. That fighter's going to go, hang on, it's the same as Conor. You didn't punish him, can't punish me. In a bit. That is the precedent that we're setting.
In regards to the whole situation, I know Eddie's come out and said, listen, we're going to stop doing a lot more testing with our stable. I saw your tweet where you said, okay, it's good to have this, but we've got to have black and white punishments. Everything's got to be black and white. There can't be any grey areas. What do you make of that, though? What do you make of Eddie saying, listen, we will test everybody, but every promoter has to do it?
Give me one second.
Last question. What do you make of the whole situation that Eddie's sort of putting pressure on other promoters as well to do it, but with alongside your tweet that there has to be punishment in place that's strict and black and white?
Absolutely. First and foremost, the headline of 365-day-a-year testing, 7 days a week for every fighter that is connected to Matchroom, and him working alongside VADA in order to make that happen. Absolutely love it, mate. That's exactly what we need. More testing absolutely is what we need. And I'm glad that Eddie Hearn is setting the way in order to be able to do that and put pressure on the likes of Frank Warren, Ben Shalom, all the guys in America, all those people, and say, listen, hang on a minute, you're making fights here and there's no testing. Come on, sunshine, pull your finger out your backside, because we're trying to all work towards a clean sport. Every single fight fan surely wants the exact same thing, right? My point on it is, great headline, and I know it's going to cost him a few quid to be able to do it. Absolutely, right behind him and support him to do it. But what's the point in doing all that, catching people, because you're going to do it. If you're going to do more testing, you're going to catch more people, then we don't punish them. We have to have clear black and white situations where it's like going, are we operating strict liability or we're not operating strict liability? It doesn't matter if you've done it accidentally. You're a professional athlete, you're responsible for what goes into your system. I don't care if you can prove to me that that's a tainted supplement as to why that is in your system. You are still receiving some type of punishment, any warning that the next time you do it, you're out the game. There has to be proper guidelines regarding punishment. And another thing that I flagged up with that tweet, I think is what you're referring to, Matchroom can have their own policy. They don't have to dance to everybody else's tune. They can say, listen, you pop up once, okay, we are going to not book you a fight for a period of time. Doesn't matter what anybody else does, we're not going to book you a fight for a period of time. You pop up twice, we're never representing you again. You're out the game. We're the premier promoter in the world, the best in the business. Look at where we are. We're all over the world, we're doing shows here, there and everywhere. Do you want to be a part of this? If you want to be a part of this, you're clean. If you're not clean, jog on. That was my take on the 365-day-a-year testing. I'm massively in support of it, but I just want that back end to be bolted on.
Cool. Adam, I know you need to shoot. I know the team have gone, and appreciate your time. As always, you don't do many interviews, so I appreciate it.
For you, today, I thought I would.
Big up Fight Disciples as well. And no doubt we'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.